Now, how about them damn Celtics?
And we are back with another episode of How About Them Celtics. Sam and I are here recording on, what day is it? Saturday, January 25th, except it's just me. Sam, not around. Cam Tabatabai was offered kindly to do the show with me, but he wasn't around until later. And I want to try a normal sleep schedule out for one. So I'm rolling solo for this one. The Celtics earned a win over the Dallas Mavericks. I'm actually starting this recording as there's a little bit of game going on, so I don't know the official final score. But the Celtics closed it out, got the job done against the Mavs, bounce back after a rough loss to the Lakers, obviously their worst loss of the season. 21 points they lost in LA, but they ended their road trip 3-1, right? Big win in the NBA Finals rematch against a bit of a shell of the Mavs team. No Luka Doncic, no Derek Lively, no Najee Marshall, no Dante Exum, and not Dwight Powell, I think, as well. Maybe I'm missing one, but they did their job. They did exactly what they're supposed to do. We'll get into certain things. Start of the fourth quarter was a little rough. Some players maybe weren't amazing, but Celtics got a big bounce back win after losing to the Lakers, and that's what's most important. And for all of the panic and all the struggles, they went on the road against these four teams and ended 3-1. Sure, it wasn't pretty against the Clippers. Obviously, wasn't pretty against the Lakers, and the end to this Mavs game that I'm currently watching wrap up wasn't amazing either, but they played really, really well. And I think this Mavs game was the closest we've seen to what the Celtics should be as Celtics basketball. Right. Slow start, very slow start to the game for the Celtics. They went down 19-10, I believe it was. The Mavericks, excuse me, had to cough, were running very fast. Spencer Dinwiddie was pushing the pace. Kyrie pushed the pace. PJ Washington was like a bull in a china shop running to the paint. And the Celtics offense looked like it was running in mud a little bit. But Joe Mazzulla, I think, was the first TV timeout. And after that, it was the Celtics that fans have probably wanted to see for a long time. Celtics got hot from three a little bit in the second quarter. And then the third quarter, led by the person that we can start with, Mr. Derrick White, was what solidified this game. Derrick White was an absolute monster in the third quarter. I think he was 1 of 7 through the first half of this game. And then he just decided to make everything in the third quarter. I'll pull up his actual stats if the game book is available here, because sometimes it takes a little bit to load. But third quarter Derrick White, this isn't updated yet, so I won't be able to tell you, unfortunately, was incredible. He made a couple threes. He got hot. He made his little floater. He drew a charge. He was doing everything, and he was really what spearheaded the Celtics surging ahead in this game. And I mean, they won the third quarter 37-27. They won the second quarter 34-20 after being down 29-25 in the first quarter. Like I mentioned, there's a minute or two left in this game here, and Celtics are losing the fourth quarter, which again we can talk about because it hasn't been that good. But this was the type of game you want to see from the Celtics after they lose to the Lakers in the way that they did. And Derrick White was a big part of it. Derrick White was a huge part of it. Derrick White lately has not been good. And even in the first half of this game, Derrick White wasn't good. Like I said, he shot 1 of 7, and it was more of the same to start this game too. It was the threes aren't falling. It was he airballed a floater, which is just not a shot that he misses a lot. And it was starting to bring up the conversations again of like, okay, is Derrick White all right? And happy to confirm Derrick White is all right. he's fine. And he helped the Celtics win this game in the third quarter with a massive surge. Mike Sarin, after he made a three. Late in the second quarter, Derrick White missed a three. Celtics got an offensive rebound. Then he made a wide open one in the corner. Mike Sarin was on the broadcast like, yeah, all pumped up. So it was definitely good to see Derrick White bounce back in the way he did and sort of ease some of the concerns I think some people were starting to have. Not that I think there should have been any concerns with, Derrick White was never going to recover. I think I saw some stuff on Twitter that was like, it's time, or maybe it was Blue Sky. It's like, it's time to start talking about who Derrick White really is as a shooter. And it's like, I mean, we've seen 3 years now of him being a 40%-ish shooter. I don't think we should just look at the data from 4 years ago as the correct data. And Derrick White was really good in this game. So ton of credit for him to bouncing back. Kristaps Porzingis continues to be an absolute cheat code. Sorry if you hear me mute. I just have to cough because I don't get the breaks when Sam is talking. KP's a cheat code. I mean, he's unbelievable. You can feel this team getting more and more used to and comfortable with, okay, we've got KP down there. And it's less of the let me stop the offense and feed the ball to KP and we'll figure it out from there. It is more of a let's let the offense run. We'll get KP down there. If we find the matchup, that's great. We'll go to it, but we're not going to hunt it out, relentlessly to the point where it is completely stalling the offense. And I think that is the happy balance you want to find. And obviously, no Derek Lively in this game, left Daniel Gafford and Maxi Kleber for stretches to guard Kristaps Porzingis. And he got a lot of switches. I mean, Spencer Dinwiddie fouled out of this game and got a tech when he fouled out on a KP switch. You put him down there and get a guard switch onto him, it's cookies, right? So shout out to him. I mean, he's starting to look like the best version of himself more and more by the day. He passed well in this game. As I'm recording this, he's leading the team in assists. He has 5. A bunch of other people have, second. Jaylen actually has 6. But KP deserves a ton of credit for how he's been playing. And I think the Celtics are finding a really, really good balance of let's get him in shots where we can, but let's not force feed it, which I felt like was the case a little bit in that Lakers game. Speaking of Jaylen, though, it really does feel like the Celtics have done the correct thing, and Joe Mazzulla has done the correct thing and found the correct balance of Jaylen Brown in the first quarter. More Jaylen Brown minutes in the first quarter seems to be a very good thing. In this game, Jaylen Brown played 8 minutes, 8 seconds in the first quarter. Maybe that's on par, but it feels like they definitely upped his minutes to start these games. And the hot starts are back. The Jaylen hot starts that we got so used to last season are absolutely back. And I think it's a very, very good thing for this team because it sort of gives them a source of offense that they can go to no matter what, right? Like sort of like the KP post up. It is now the Jaylen Brown mid range. He hit this wild high arcing mid range early in the first quarter over, I think, Maxi Kleber. And it's just like, oh my God. Like so some of the shots Jaylen Brown makes are ridiculous to watch. As I'm watching, they're putting the bench players in for garbage time because it's a 14-point game with a minute 30 left. But Jaylen Brown's picking his spots a lot better, it feels like, too. How many threes did he end up taking in this game? He's about to sub out. So he had in this game 5 threes. He didn't make any. He was 0-5 from 3, but it didn't matter, right? Because Jaylen is getting his threes for the most part within the flow of the offense and getting his buckets everywhere else, right? That means he was 10 of 16 as I'm recording this from the field, from 2-point range, I should say. That's what you want. Didn't make his free throws. Not as good. He missed some free throws in this game, but Jaylen Brown picking his spots and really giving the Celtics some, when I was writing, I called it a methodical approach to his offense. That's what they need. And that's what it felt like in this game. Jaylen Brown just missed another free throw late in the game as I'm recording this. But his methodical scoring is really like something the Celtics have been able to turn to, which is really good. So play him more in the first quarter, Joe. I think that's the answer. It really gets him going. Jason Tatum wasn't quite as good again. It felt like this was definitely better than Lakers game, definitely better than some of the games he's had in recent weeks, but it just feels like the shot selection for whatever reason has been a bit wonky. He wasn't awful, don't get me wrong. Like this was, like I said, probably the best Jason Tatum game we've gotten in a little bit. But still 12 threes he took, 4 of 12 from 3, 8 of 22 from the field, meaning he was 4 of 10 from 2. Like it's still not the Jason Tatum you want. He was a minus. He was one of 2 Celtics players that I see, him and Sam Hauser, that was a negative plus minus. Hauser's still on the court, so he might not even be a negative because he's only -1 at the time I'm recording this. And again, I'm just recording this a little early so I can have an easier night and everything going. And excuse me, they're winning anyway. So yeah, Jason Tatum being a -5 on the night. He's just been off. I like shot selection's weird. He's not exactly like being the hub on offense that you maybe want him to be. Maybe teams are pressuring a little bit more. Maybe I'll have to go back and look at some of that, but it just doesn't feel like the Jason Tatum we've gotten so used to seeing dominate games as much. And I don't know what's going into that. So it's definitely something to monitor because I mean, if Tatum's struggling, like something's probably off, and he's just been a little weird. And I mean, they won the game. That's what matters in this one, but again, just like we've been saying for the past few games, it felt like an odd Jason Tatum game. Jrue Holiday was awesome. Awesome Jrue Holiday game. 17 points, 3 rebounds, 4 assists. He subbed out, so I don't think he'll be getting any more stats. 6 of 12 from the field, 5 of 10 from 3. Still, he missed a layup again to start this game, which has become his like bread and butter, is just smoking layups the Jrue Holiday way. But the threes were going down for Jrue Holiday in this game, man. And man, when the threes are going down for Jrue Holiday and Derrick White and Sam Hauser and Peyton Pritchard and Al Horford and all the role players, like when those guys are hitting their threes, that is the barometer for how the Celtics offense is going to do. And tonight it was Jrue Holiday making 5 of his 10 threes. He had a step back one in the fourth quarter too. That was like, all right, yeah, the Mavs are done. Like as soon as he hit that, it's like, okay, yeah, the Mavs have no chance. They're cooked for the night. Pack the bags, send them home. 122-107, the final score, by the way, now that we're 10 minutes into the pod and the game has finally ended, which I'm going to update. But listen, we've talked about it a lot in recent weeks, mostly in the scope of, will Derrick White turn it around? Because Derrick White gives you that little bit of extra shot creation that maybe Jrue Holiday doesn't at times, even though he actually did a pretty good job creating his own shots in this one. The Celtics role players hitting their threes is going to be a measuring stick for if the Celtics are able to win these games. And I tweeted earlier in this game, like, the Celtics problems won't go away until they start making their shots. And you look at tonight's game against the Mavs, a win, like, still not the most efficient night, but they hit their threes on a high clip. They shot 38.5% on 52 threes. They made 23s in this game, and the Mavericks only attempted 22. That's the math that the Celtics were winning earlier in the season. That's the math that the Celtics need to get back to. It just feels like, for whatever reason, they've strayed away from it. I asked Joe Mazzulla about it a few weeks ago, and he was like, we don't really, I never thought we were dominating that margin, or I never thought that was a goal of ours or whatever. And sure, like, I get it a little, but that is what was working, in my opinion. And again, who am I to tell Joe Mazzulla or the Boston Celtics what to do or what, like, but it just, it felt like the Celtics getting back to this point where they are getting up so many threes and shooting a respectable percentage is a huge reason why they will be able to get out of this slump. And like I said, we keep saying, as frustrating as it is, as frustrating as it may be to just settle on, oh, they need to hit their shots and then they'll win. Like, it's a big part of it. It's a huge, huge, huge part of it, being able to hit your shots. And that's what they did. It did against the Mavs, and the Mavs didn't hit shots, and they didn't get up enough shots. And that's what mattered. That in the end, that is what mattered for the Celtics to win this basketball game. Looking through the box score, like I said, finally got the final score a little bit into the pod. I started a little early so I can have an earlier night. Excuse me for my sleep schedule, but 122-107 win for the Celtics, a 15-point victory. Got up to, I think, 20, maybe 21. They were up at its peak. And Jaylen Brown, I'll go through the stats of the guys I've talked about already, had 22 points, 8 rebounds, 6 assists, 10 of 21, 0 of 5. No turnovers, which is great. Jason Tatum, like I mentioned, not the best game. Sam Hauser also did end up being a negative plus minus at -1, but Tatum was a team worst, -4. He had 24 points, 6 rebounds, 3 assists, 8 of 22, 4 12. Plus minus isn't really a fair metric in individual games for the most part. I mean, it's a little useful, it's a little indicative, but I just think something's been off with Tatum lately. Like, Porzingis had a great game. He was a +1, but Porzingis had 18, 4 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 blocks. I wonder if 5 assists is a season high in assists for Kristaps Porzingis, because he's not usually the most pass-heavy big man in the world. So let me do a quick detour to do some research here to tell you. Kristaps had 5 assists against the Mavs, and his season high so far this year is season high. He hasn't even had 4. His season high in assists before this was 3 assists, which he had on Christmas, and then against the Nuggets in the win and the loss to the Raptors. But 5 assists is a season high for Kristaps, which is great. Derrick White finished 23 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists. Red hot, 7 of 16, 4 of 10, but that doesn't even do him justice because, like I said, he was 1 of 7 in the first half of this game. So that means he turned it around massively. First half, Derrick White had 5 points on 1 of 7 shooting, 1 of 5. Second half, Derrick White was 18 points, 6 of 9, 3 of 5. So talk about a turnaround for him. And then Jrue Holiday, just to round out the stats of the players we've talked about, 17 points, 3 rebounds, 4 assists, 6 of 12, 5 of 10. He was great. Dipping into the bench a little bit, not the best game from Al Horford from a shooting perspective. He was 2 of 8 from the field, 0 of 2 from 3, meaning he was 2 of 6 from 2, which is not great. But he had 6 rebounds, 4 offensive rebounds. That's a bit skewed because him and Cornette had this possession where him and Porzingis, I think it was Cornette, they like tipped it back and forth to each other. They couldn't make a shot. Maybe that's KP, but Al's rim defense was really great in this game. I thought the double big lineup of him and Cornette, I think it was, after the Celtics' slow start, really helped turn things around. We'll talk about Cornette in a second, too, because he was awesome. So I think Horford deserves a ton of credit for that. But like I said, Luke Cornette, the box score won't tell the story. He shot 1 of 4. He only had 2 points in this game, but he had 9 rebounds, 3 offensive rebounds, and 5 assists, and 2 blocks. Like, I write studs and duds every game, and Luke Cornette won't get the love he deserves for this game. He was awesome. I think he was genuinely a huge, huge part of why the Celtics were able to turn this game around. Like I said, that double big lineup came in after the Celtics went down. I don't want to say big. I think it got like the most was 19-10, but like they went down early in this game, and 5 assists is a season high for Cornette, by the way. And Cornette's rim defense completely deterred what the Mavs were trying to do, right? Like I told you, the Mavs only shot, what was the final number? They attempted 22 threes in this game. Excuse me, made 8 of them in the paint. The Mavs shot 26 of 52 in the paint. Like, that is not great. 26 of 52 would be exactly, it's just 50%. I could have done that math in my head. They shot 50% in the paint. That's not very good. And I'd have to see the matchup data, but I would hazard a very strong guess that Luke Cornette has a lot to do with that. So he deserves all the love in the world for how he played in this game. Genuinely, I think one of the most impactful players. And like I mentioned, plus minuses aren't everything. He was tied for a team high plus 21 in this game that they won by 15. The other is Peyton Pritchard, who we'll talk about now, was also good. Peyton Pritchard led the Celtics in rebounds in this game. What a ridiculous stat to say out loud. 21 points, 9 rebounds, 4 assists, and a steal. And sorry, 6 points, 9 rebounds, 4 assists. He was a plus 21, not 21 points, excuse me. 6, 9, and 4, 3 offensive rebounds. He did a great job hunting boards. The Celtics in general had 17 offensive rebounds in this game. The Mavs had 13. It was kind of a mess on the glass on offense. But the Celtics do a great job corner crashing, and Pritchard benefited from that in this one. He always does. I mean, he's a great offensive rebounder for a guard. I wonder where he ranks. I know Keith Smith, Spot Trek, always has the offensive rebounds per square inch or pitch, whatever stat. And Pritchard is like the god of Orpit or whatever it's called. But he played great. Sam Hauser made a couple shots where he looked super comfortable in this one. He only played 14 minutes. He's only 2 of 3 from 3, and those are the only shots he took. But he's back. I think on the broadcast they said he's like 12 of 20 in his last 23-point attempts, which is like exactly what you needed to see from Sam Hauser. Our Sam here pronounced him dead on the first of the floor show, which is kind of ridiculous. But yeah, Sam Hauser, awesome. Really good to see him making his shots. That's Jordan Walsh and Jaden Springer played like a minute 30 each. Jaden Springer got a steal because of course he did. Jordan Walsh missed a 3, but they didn't really play. Kyrie was like the only source of offense the Mavs had for most of the game. He had 22. For the first half, I should say, because Quentin Grimes had 20 points, and I think they were all in the second half, if I'm correct. Yeah, Quentin Grimes in the first half was to reload the box score. First half, Quentin Grimes played 11 minutes and was 0 of 3 with 0 points. Second half, Quentin Grimes was played 14 minutes, was 7 of 9, 2 of 3 in 20 points. So he turned it up. Him and Jaden Hardy really turned it up for the Mavs. Klay Thompson didn't really get a ton of touches. The Celtics did a pretty good job shutting him out of the game, shutting the Mavs 3-point attack out of the game. They were comfortable with the guys they let shoot 3. Kyrie was 0 of 3, which is unusual, but Maxi Kleber was 0 of 3. I think they're okay with letting him shoot. PJ Washington was 1 of 4. I think they're relatively okay with letting him shoot, even though he's a good player. Daniel Gafford did a good job on the glass. He had 8 offensive rebounds in this one. Again, there were like a couple possessions where he got a bunch in a row, so it's a bit inflated, but he did a good job. It just, the Celtics were like very comfortable. Like they gave 107 points. That's a solid defensive game in today's NBA. They were just very comfortable, like letting the Mavs take certain shots, do certain things, and they just played their game. I mentioned at the start of the show, fourth quarter defense and offense was a little bit slow to start that fourth. The Mavs went on a bit of a run and cut it down to, I think, 12 was the lowest it got down to at a certain point in the final frame. Which again is still a pretty dominant win. I mean, I can show you the chart here. Actually, I can't because it'll mess up the screen. Yeah, I can, whatever. This is the game chart. Pretty good. Pretty good win for the Celtics, but yeah. Didn't love the slow start to the game. Didn't love the slow start to the fourth quarter, but by and large, this is the exact type of performance you want to see from the Celtics after they lose by 21 points to the Lakers, right? Like this is exactly what you need to see. This is exactly the way to get back on track. It's just what the doctor ordered, as I used as my subheading in my article for tonight. So I think I covered it all. Jaylen, good start. Jason still a little bit wonky, a bit off. Kristaps, great game. Derrick White, chef's kiss, love it. Luke Cornette gonna go underrated. But he had a huge impact to this game. Kristaps obviously great. Drew Holiday, great game. And this is the perfect team win. The Celtics only shot 44 of 103, so like 43%. And they themselves only shot 19 of 43 in the paint. So they actually shot really bad in the paint, which is something they need to work on. Celtics in making layups, no handshake, not good. Celtics are missing layups, handshake. But yeah, good win. good bounce back for the Celtics. The defense was solid. I thought the offense was a lot better, even though I still think it has room to be better with some of these lulls. And yeah, let us know what you think down below. Hopefully you enjoyed Jack's 20 minutes of talking. I'm surprised I made it this long without really taking some breaths. I muted to cough a few times, but make sure to leave a like. Subscribe to How About Them Celtics here on YouTube, on Spotify, on Apple, all that good stuff. Leave us a follow on Spotify and Apple. We're live 30 minutes before every single Celtics game, so you can come hang out with us. It was me and Bobby Kravitsky today. It's usually me and Sam. We have friends join in from time to time, especially when we're at the Garden. So come hang out with us. Again, 30 minutes for every single Celtics game here. Also on Facebook, on Twitch, you can follow us there. Our socials are How About Them C's, HOWBOUTTHEMCS. I don't know why I spelled it. On TikTok and Instagram. Facebook is just the name of the podcast, How About Them Celtics Podcast. See our streams there. You can follow us everywhere. Follow us on Twitter. You can follow me on Twitter at JackSimoneNBA. You can follow Sam on Twitter at SamLaFranceNBA, even though he wasn't here today. And that's it for us. Goodbye.
Tic-tac-toe.